I spend my life researching and teaching people how to live a powerful life. I am a believer. I stand for the transformation of humanity. I have found my purpose. My name is Gabrielle McGee, and I am the Rebellious Therapist.
So welcome to the Rebellious Therapist podcast. And my guests today are two sisters who I've been working with now for a few years, and they're actually talking to me today from New York. So I want to say welcome to Gemma and Ciara Cunningham.
Hello.
Hi, how
guys.
are you?
So I just want to say, we've been in the therapeutic journey to start with. You both became on with me as clients, and then that sort of process grew and grew and grew. Where now I'm in a mentorship role with you both, and inside that role, you've developed and created a new business, the Shared Space, which is something we're going to be talking about in this podcast. But I think at the minute, where I want to start is to give you both an opportunity to introduce yourselves, a little bit about your background, and then we'll pick it up from there. So, Gemma, would you like to go first?
Yeah. My name is Gemma. I moved to New York the summer of 2013. That's almost 10 years ago now. I'm Ciara's sister. I've been doing work with Gabrielle for 2 years now, and it progressed from being a client of hers to now being under her mentorship. I've done a lot of work on myself, and Gabrielle has been the most chunk of that, thankfully.
Yeah.
Grateful for her every day. And now we're just navigating a business and a couple of other things we're going to talk about later too.
Very good. Thank you. And Ciara.
Hi, I'm Ciara.
So Ciara is the older sister. Well, I said
Yeah,
that. The boss.
I'm 32, the older sister. Been in New York now almost 10 years. So with that came, a journey in itself. Found out who I was, all those kind of things through my work with you. I am a visionary for the future of personal development and healing. That's what we want to create within the brand of the Shared Space, and being mentored by you and off the back of what you stand for as well. Our values align very similarly, just in different kind of, generations of what it is. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having us. And I'm grateful to know you.
What a pleasure it is for me to watch, the level of growth over the period of the years that we've been working, and where you have got till today. It's been, a pleasure, a joy, and absolutely grateful that I've been part of your journey. And we can say that we went to New York on behalf of you, sort of declaring it that you wanted to have a retreat. So we went to New York. We hung out in New York for 2 weeks with you guys, and we held the retreats there and seminars. So I'm forever grateful for the opportunity. So I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So I think I want to start with, let's start with your journey of what took you, first of all, to therapy, because I know the title of this podcast is called, which I love it, is called Sisters on the Run. And now we're going to explain a little bit about what we mean by that. Okay, so who would like to go first?
You choose.
Yeah, good idea. You choose.
Oh, you choose? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll choose Ciara this time because I choose I don't want to make it. No, it's like
Favoritism.
like the kids. Right? I
Because all our
choose Gemma
childhood
the
trauma
first
will be
time.
brought up then, Gabrielle.
Yeah, you don't want to bring up our family dynamics.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
So yes, my journey started in 2018 off the back of heartbreak, serious case of heartbreak. I knew in that moment that I had nowhere else to go but help. It was at the point where I had reached, like, I didn't know what to do anymore. I was running around in circles. The voices in my head were getting louder and louder, you know, borderline to the fact that you think you're crazy, you're going crazy. You know, how could this experience, this person, this relationship have so much control over how I'm feeling?
Yeah.
I was like, there's something else here, something has to give. So that's when I sought out therapy for the first time in 2018. And then I did that for like a year or so. And then 2021, then I started with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the two therapies were very different. I think there's a therapy for each time in your life. So the first one was very much talk therapy, me trying to like get to know who I am, or no, actually sharing what's going on and, you know, understanding. So what I realized, it wasn't about heartbreak at all. It was about my childhood. It was about the dynamics in my family. It was about where I came in the family, what role I played. And it was watching all that kind of stuff we went through as a family together, and the trauma that we, you know, incurred, the little trauma. And so then I really started to discover myself and the role I played in this world as Ciara, the sister, the daughter, the friend, but also who I am myself.
Very good.
And then it was you, I came to you, and I kind of knew who I was at that point, and I'd understood my past a little bit more. And then you just, you know, backed up that, actually you ignited that belief in myself. So before I had opened up and I had spoken, I had said, but I didn't really have any backup of who I was. So then it was more like an empowering, like a go get it now, Ciara.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You're amazing. What the hell do you want? And just go do it.
Brilliant.
And now we're here now, a year and a half later, and this is the result, you know?
Wow. That's beautifully sort of articulated, Ciara. And also what's wonderful about that, we're here now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are getting results.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of frustration with some people, you know, in therapy is they're talking a lot, but they're actually, you know, I'm a very action-based, result-driven therapist, right? And the process I like to work from is always about, you know, where are we taking the client? Where's the client going? Where does she want to go? And it's, you know, it's really great to know that you've gone through that process with me, and also have come, you know, sitting here today where you have got the results and your life's going in the direction, and you're driving in the direction with strong beliefs of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and being unstoppable inside of, you know, not being sort of fallen into the old stuff.
Yeah.
Which it means a lot to, you know, for me to watch that, and also to see you've done the work.
Mm-hmm.
I've guided you.
Yeah.
But you did the work, you know, you did the whole deep diving, as we say.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's not an easy route. That's the thing.
No.
It's not something that we, you know, we can do over a weekend and then we come out at the other end and everything's sorted, right?
Yeah.
And the more work you put into your life, obviously, the more results you've got. So it's really, you know, it's very, very, very clear to me today how much work you've really done.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm committed to continue doing as well.
Very good. You can see that in you, but you know?
Yeah.
No, you're on a mission, you know?
Yeah.
And you're not stopping.
No.
So, no, it's really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gemma, I think it was you came up with the, you know, the theme of, but, you know, I came up with the theme, girls, Girls on the Run, because of the story you tell about your life you ran away from Ireland to New York to get away from yourself.
Well, it was funny because I was thinking about it too. And like the analogy is that you're running away from it, but you actually don't run away from it. You just run with it. And it just gets heavier and heavier until you address it.
Yeah.
So I got on that plane and left Gemma behind, as I thought, to find out who I really was, because none of that stuff was working for me. And I remember my first summer in New York, and I just remember the feeling of freedom that you could choose and be whatever you wanted. And it wasn't dictated under what this person says you are, or where you came from, or what category you fit under. It was just freedom that I needed to explore where I fitted in, or who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So for the first couple of years that I lived in America, I hid in a relationship as well. So my journey to therapy was stalled there. I was very much distracted. The way I viewed myself was who I was in the relationship, not who I was. So
very good.
That stalled for a couple of years until that relationship ended. And then I was navigating Gemma by herself and not Gemma in a relationship. And that's when the confusion started and the voices got even louder. And that was whenever it was time I had to drop the shit and face it all.
Yeah.
So I sought out therapy, not with yourself, someone else. The same as Ciara, it was a very different style. I actually did that for a year, and it was very much talk therapy, but it was just unlocking level 1. It was the gateway therapy for me.
Yeah.
And that was the start of my journey. But the more I sat in talk therapy without the action steps, the more pissed off I became.
Yeah.
Sitting there in my emotions. Like, now I'm not knocking any therapy. It can help for people, but this was not.
Yeah, I wanted to address something at that point. That's called regression. Which not a lot of people understand that. You're actually regressing back into the stuff. And it's actually causing it even you're going on deeper at that point, So there is a point, to be pointed out if people are getting more and more frustrated with their therapy sessions. It is that reason, because you're not, you're actually regressing.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because when I was in therapy, I had actually been seeing someone else outside of that other relationship. And what drove me to therapy was I couldn't understand why I couldn't commit again.
Yeah.
So you would think if you were in therapy, you would progress and be able to work through that. But then I knew it wasn't working for me. So I just got pissed off and put the lid back on the box and never saw the therapist again.
Wow.
And then COVID hit and I had nothing to look at but the four walls. So then again, the voices were screaming at me and they were like, Gemma, you're not going to do that again. You can't close this box. So that's whenever you popped up on social media. I booked in for a 15-minute consultation. And I remember I was sitting in Ireland, actually. It was around October time. And it just felt right. I got on the call with you and I was like, listen, I'm ready to do the work. And you were like, that's the only way that this is going to work. So we started our journey then. And I think it's important to highlight that, a lot of people go to therapy and expect things to happen in the therapy session. Like, you're going to therapy, you're attending therapy, so everything should just fix from there. But that's far from it. Everything that happens outside that room is where you catch, where the real progress, I guess, starts and the awareness begins, and you start to have a choice then on whether to repeat patterns or implement what you're learning in therapy. So you gave me the action step that I needed previously and the power behind it, and you stood behind me so that I couldn't look back or I couldn't go back, So where else do I want to go with this?
Interesting.
It's interesting to listen to, the level of empowerment you have in your speech. It's like, it's totally fully responsible for, the journey you've been on. And that's not an everyday conversation, I find. from people.
Mm.
You know, it's like it takes a real level of education and awareness and responsibility to be that level of responsible in your speaking in the way you are now. And it's probably an everyday thing for you now, so you don't even realize how advanced that's been in the last few years, because you're both in the conversation daily.
Yeah, with myself or with Ciara or with Niall, you're constantly in the conversation. But like that just came to me there was the main thing about your work is self-responsibility. It starts and ends with you. Like a lot before that, looking back and observing my mindset then, it was very much of what are all these external things doing to my internal state, rather than how is my internal state responding to these external things.
Exactly.
So,
brilliant. And that is when your world changes.
Yes, that's when it flips.
That's when, you know, you have total control and power over your life.
Well, you're always ringing in my head. I'm always just looking at myself in this. I'm like, right, look at yourself in this. Look at yourself in this.
Yeah.
It's like, because that's all you have control over is what's going on here.
You know, the circumstances will be the circumstances. It's my choice.
Always.
How then I behave or react. That doesn't mean I don't have a reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, something happened yesterday morning. I had a phone call at 8:30 and it totally pissed me off. It took me all day to really calm myself, get out of whatever it triggered. I had to figure out what that triggered for me. But yeah, I got pissed off with, you automatically get, you automatically go out and blame or, because you felt, if it feels like an attack or whatever it feels like, you're going to survival. So you want to, my survival process, I want to attack back. I won't run. I'm like, right, let's go.
Your fight.
I'm a fight. Right.
Where you got on the flight?
He's got on the flight. I stayed and fight. Actually, I got on a plane to London, and I really, I can really recognize getting to London, getting the freedom, not being, locked into, the community or who you had to be or who you're trying to be, or who you were sort of like trying to mold, I completely lost myself. Didn't know who I was until I got to London, got the freedom, got the journey, got the experience and got the opportunity to explore. So it was really interesting, when you were sharing about your journey, Gemma, coming to America. I think it's very common for us Irish girls traveling, and guys as well, right? But there's a lot of youth girls traveling all over the world, working, doing their thing, finding their purpose. And I think it's a really great thing. Why do I think it's a great thing? Because I think sometimes you have to come out of your community, come out of your programming, come out of what's familiar, and really, not just find yourself, but have the freedom to explore.
Yeah. It's a little bit like fish out of water, You have to fully immerse yourself out of it to see how effective these things are on you, like how corrupt some parts of it is on your internal state. And you don't have any power inside it because you are the grain in the box of sand.
Well, you are the goldfish. You're just going around the bowl, right?
Yeah.
So
it's whenever, so hard to see anything else.
So whenever you take that goldfish out of the bowl and you give it a swing around and you realize, oh my God, there's a big world out there. When you put the goldfish back in the bowl again, that world doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It's a whole new perception of, wow, there's so much opens up and so much for you to, so much changes happens in that sort of moment that is taken, it's really obvious the journey is taking you both.
Yeah. Because that's not to say, we got on the plane and everything worked out. Yeah. We got on the plane and it only just started.
Exactly.
Because you leave, again, the fishbowl in Ireland, but then if that's your attachment style, you're going to find your fishbowl in New York as well.
And we did.
And we did.
Yeah. But it's a given, right? Because that's where you're operating from. That's
exactly.
That's your state. Your operational state will be what's familiar. You'll gravitate to what's familiar, what you know.
Yeah.
Because we don't like being out of control or we don't like the unfamiliar. So that's their first line of, and it's amazing we find it.
Yeah.
How quickly we find this stuff.
Or we create it, one or the other.
Yeah, and we create it as well, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So
then it's really only then when you start actually doing the work that you actually can find yourself within that fishbowl, and then you start to see, you know, what it is and what it's not. So it does, again, like we all need a community and we all need a support system, but the work is where it starts for you to understand like now I approach this bowl a bit differently in New York, because I'm not the same, you know, I'm not operating from that place anymore. I found out more of who I am and what I want. So I can see things differently. No judgment here, no good or bad.
Nope.
It's just I have to move a bit differently with this world, because again, I have wants and needs that may not be met in certain areas of my life. You know, does that make sense?
No, totally. Because you know what I'm hearing. Also, what I want to say is, you know, if you stayed back in that zone, you know, where Ciara will get a certain result, but you had to do that transition and change, transform to have that different life.
Yeah.
So to have the life you have today, you had to go through that process and do that level of growth and transition and transformation to have your future Ciara show up, which is today.
Yeah. Very
Right?
true.
So who is that Gemma and Ciara today? Gemma can go this time. Gemma can go first.
Take turns. Who am I today? I choose to be worthy. I choose to be powerful. And I choose to just be the Gemma. Like, that's a hard question. Who is Gemma today? Gemma's in control.
Yeah.
She's in the driver's seat.
She's navigating and taking no bullshit and doing what she wants and inviting space for what she deserves.
Yeah, and it's really like the results have all shown up this week. So I want you to talk a little bit about that process you were in the last few months, and what you know, achievement, and what your next part of your life on Monday, where that's going and where it's heading. So you wanna say a few words about that?
Yeah. So in April, when you came over for the retreat, I started to do your social media stuff on creating reels, creating videos, graphics, and became like deeply immersed in the creative process of that. And it was almost therapeutic for me. And then it became evident that there was something, I was onto something there. So I kept doing it. I did it for the shared space. We worked a lot on my self-belief. Like, my capabilities were there always, and the skills were there. I just had to nurture them. But my belief system was a little bit behind, because I think there's a step between knowing these things and then going getting them.
Yeah.
So I knew I had all these skills. I knew I had the capabilities, but there was something like there that I couldn't get to the next step. And then somehow we abolished them. You might be able to explain that process a bit better, because I've just been through it, so I'm still a fish in the water. But I started to apply for jobs, and Ciara sent me an application for Gary V's company, VaynerMedia.
So,
I thought nothing of it because
who that company is. Explain who he is and explain who the company is, so we really get a real sense of how amazing it is that you've been accepted.
Yeah. Well, Gary V is the leading navigator to the social media world right now.
Yeah.
He predicted TikTok. He's predicted everything for the past 3 years. And he, 9 or 10 years ago, created his own company called VaynerMedia, and that VaynerMedia is now the leading media company
in the world.
Here, in the world right now. It's predicting everything, you know. They do the best and are the best out there at the moment. And I got accepted on Monday for a content creator residency. And
so just say that again, because that's that, even that, you know, you need to give that the space that deserves, right? So Gary Vee has hundreds of thousands of people want to work with him, number one. I don't know how many applications that company would have got, because he is the top guy in the world. You know, he's the big advisor. He goes, you know, what Gary Vee says is law when it comes to social media.
Yeah, or internet in general.
Yeah, and he shows up to all the gigs, and he gets, you know, hundreds of people come to his gigs, and he is really a very popular and a very, you know, people want to work with Gary Vee because he is the best.
He's dominating the industry.
He dominates, but he also knows what he's talking about.
He came from nothing too, so he came from, you know, he's a great journey. Started in a wine shop and just pumped out content every single day. Was getting nothing, and his like the way he like his graft to get to where he is now. Like his end goal is to own the New York Jets, and like, but he's like, when he gets that, I don't want it, because he's like, that's my graft. Yes. He lives within his graft.
Yeah.
So now his company, VaynerMedia, is an advertising agency for ads like behind the Super Bowl and behind major advertising campaigns. Yeah. And that's only one part, because he's also a visionary. He's an entrepreneur. Yeah. He's a creator. And so he's just like, and for you to be even in part of his orbit, I think is phenomenal.
Good, yeah. And it is funny, like, it just shows there that Ciara is actually the big fan that sent me the application one day, and I applied. So I was a bit stunned when I realized what I actually had gotten myself in for and what I had been accepted to, because
I think you still haven't grasped.
I haven't.
No,
I haven't.
No,
I haven't grasped.
That's a process for you, right?
Yeah, it takes me a while. I feel like I'm a heartbeat away from most things in my life. I process them after.
Yeah, no, it's how you process, right? Which is fine. But, you know, I don't want to just say, oh, you got a job on Monday. No, it's not. It's huge, Gemma.
I know. And honestly, I was trying to compare it to some things last night when I was like, what is this feeling I'm having? And it was that like new school excitement, you know, when you're getting your new pencils and your new new pencil case, and you're putting it all together, and then you're just waiting for Monday to come.
What about your lunchbox?
I know, exactly. I was going through my emails, and all these emails were coming in. Yesterday I got my own email, GemmaCunningham@VaynerMedia.com.
Wow.
And all this like scheduling started to come in, and my Google Calendar started to fill up.
Wow.
Excuse me. What is this? So
I think I'm more excited than anything.
Yeah, I want to know what time she's starting. I want to like freaking be there.
I know, but it was like this feeling, this like first time feeling of true accomplishment, because I have never accomplished anything like this in this state of mind where I've done all the work, and I can acknowledge myself for it, and I can appreciate it. Because even like getting on, it took me back to my first year in this country when I went down to that office and I was looking up at 10 Hudson Yards with my citizenship, going in there and having no attachment to being an immigrant or having to be stuck in the bars. I was free and I had done it. Whether I am in this company this time next year, which hopefully I am, but whether I do or not, I have done what I set on that plane to do.
Wow.
And I am like empowered by myself.
I know.
Can I just make a point as well that Gemma didn't go to college?
Yeah.
I think that's very important to know.
I tried.
No, but you didn't. It wasn't for you.
No, it was not for me. I lasted 2 months.
And like
join the club, Gemma.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck was that? I remember sitting in those classes being like, what
But
is
I
this?
think for those people out there who are struggling, or hating college, hating school, like,
oh, don't do it.
Just not don't do it, but it doesn't start and end with like your education. Gemma,
it's not. It might not.
Yeah.
be
Gemma found her talent a couple of months ago, nurtured it, and here she is 6 months later starting a job with one of the leading advertising agencies in the world.
And chosen probably over hundreds of thousands of applications.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to bring it like just back to the work is that it was only when I dropped all of the bullshit of being attached to these identities, like I just mentioned about being an immigrant, having to be stuck in the bars. That was all choice that I made myself, that I was stuck.
Yeah, that was the story.
The minute I started to drop all of that bullshit and get in touch with who I truly was, that's where I found my purpose, which was mental strength awareness, which then led me to my passion. So my purpose led me to my passion, and now my passion feeds my purpose because I do the content creation for the shared space and for you. And even that, my purpose, it feeds my passion too.
Yeah, very good. It was really clear to me whenever we were in New York that you had found your self-expression in that.
Yes.
Who you were. And that was something I clicked really, really quickly. And I remember saying, look, you've found your self-expression on what you're doing right now. So you got to really back yourself up here.
And go for it.
And go for it. And you are amazing at it. So, yeah, look, you know what? I want to go back to one point where, in 6 months' time or a year's time, that's going to be your choice, Gemma. Your choice if you're going to stay in that company because you know how to navigate yourself in there. You've already done that through a lot of interviews. You must remember to say that, like you've gone through quite a long interviewing process, right? And one of the feedbacks you got, and I heard that really loud, was you were chosen unanimously.
Yeah.
So that. All of that, you should really hear who you are in that, right? Don't ignore that. Sometimes we can just skip over it or ignore it or, do ourselves, it's an injustice by not hearing that stuff, because that's the stuff you're going to walk in on Monday morning with to the company, and then you're going to choose what's going to happen in your time in that office and who you're going to be and what you want. And then, we're going to be mentoring, we're going to be focused, and we're going to get there. Because you have a choice in life.
Always do.
Yeah.
And you always remind us.
Yeah. And we'll always work through it,
Yeah. And that is like, even just to state now how appreciative I am that when you do have those low days or you do forget all the stuff you learn, because it happens, just to highlight that there's days you wake up and you're like, wait, why do I feel like a grain again? But because it happens, but there's always you're always backing us up. You're constantly reminding us who we are. And without that, there would have been a lot more dips in the road.
Thank you. And we all go, there's not every day am I feeling good. I think there's parts of the day I'm feeling good and some parts of the day I'm feeling low. Look, life's a circle. It just keeps on, we keep on rolling through the emotion every day. It's how we navigate ourselves through that. But we never get to a point where we get up and every day's happy day. It doesn't exist. That's a fairy tale fantasy somewhere.
Fantasy.
Something that people made up,
Yeah.
So thank you. So I want to go to you now, Ciara, because Ciara, you are the sort of, to me, the I always see this shared space as two spaces. One is, the sister who does all the social media and the contents and part of sort of driving the shared space forward and has that sort of energy or position of stillness in there, which is really, really important. but I also see you as the real driving, the emotional sort of driver.
Yeah.
There, and the person who's, because I said that really early on. I see your part in that is very different, and driving that forward, and it's really proven me right, which I love to be right.
Don't we all?
My favorite thing. But talk to me about your journey and your belief, and how your passion is driving the shared space, and all the opportunities in the last few months, like Gemma, has come your way. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the original question that you asked us was, who is Ciara today?
Yeah.
When you said that, obviously Gemma went first, but I was thinking, who am I today? And I was thinking, I am an emotional person for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like actually kind of proud to say that, rather than, like I have to live in my emotion. I have to. It's natural to me, emotion rather than logic or any of that.
Yeah, you're what you call an endomorph body.
Yeah.
So you're first, you first access motion before you do thought. It's just a natural part of your body type.
Yes.
Where Gemma is the opposite. So you two are like yin and yang.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, it really works.
It works, yeah.
Really works.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm a very powerful communicator. Like it's interesting because since we started this in January, neither of us kind of knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
So fast forward now to we just knew that there was something there with working with you that we could bring into this world.
Yeah.
And naturally we've gravitated into our roles. We haven't pushed anything. We haven't, I want this, I want that. It's like we held space for each other to be good at what was good. And then naturally we found our roles. So my role now is more like the leadership of the circles, the communicating aspect of it, the personal, so talking to people, meeting the people, all that kind of stuff. And then Gemma's there to back me up with the like logic, rational content creation. Like Gemma is navigating the shared space in the social media world that we live in today.
Yeah.
And it's very important to have somebody to do that, because you can have an idea, but if you cannot communicate or translate it to the world, it's gone. Whereas now I'm the more in real life, like I don't need much. I just need myself and my mouth. And that's where I do my work from.
Yeah.
It's from my heart, essentially.
Yeah, you work from
your knowledge, though.
My knowledge and education and like my experience.
Wisdom,
your commitment to self-development.
Yeah.
Look at all those books that you've read. Like you're forgetting all that as well. Like you and your mouth. It's a bit more to that.
Yeah, I know, but it's not that I take a book with me and it's like so like my passion every day is like getting up and reading and meditating and observing the world around me and observing people and patterns and behaviors and learning and then I think you said this to Sinead Haggerty before. She's like a knowledge broker. So that's sometimes what I think of myself as well, as I take in all the knowledge and wisdom and experience, apply it to my own life, and then I'm able to share with other people or notice it in other people.
That's what knowledge brokers are really, that's part of what you do.
Yeah.
Educate. No, you're an educator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that, like, again, didn't know that obviously until I started the work. No bloody idea.
Yeah.
But I knew that there was a natural draw for me to people and vice versa, that we would always have very good conversations. They would always want to open up and talk and speak. So that there's something here. But again, also that can be borderline codependency and external validation if you're not careful. With like, getting invested in
relationships. It's using that to an empowering context rather than having it as a dependency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then when I started the work with you, that was when we really looked at, who I was, where my skills were. And it is a skill to be like good with people.
Yeah.
Society raises us to think you just be nice, be friendly and nice.
Yeah.
So you actually think that you just have to be that way in general with the world. So there was nothing really special about it until I decided that, and we together in the work decided there was something special about it. And there's something that we can work with here to, you know, help people or open up this space for people. So
can I just say, oh, there's such a natural expression for you, like Gemma. You know, it's you are, to me, the communicator, but also the healer. You know, that's really obvious when I work with you, you know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you're doing tonight. Like, to me, that's a big deal. You know, we've gone through that journey from, you know, me going on to work with some of the, you know, the stuff in the Irish Centre. We started off there, and then, you know, it's grown to, you've been invited to do what today?
Yeah, so we're speaking at a mental health awareness workshop with Solace House. And Solace House was the first place I actually did my therapy.
Wow.
So it's nice to come full circle and be back to be able to provide a service to them, because it was free back in the day. It's still free. It's a free service for people. And now I'm here back, like, just to, you know, repay the favor. Like, little did I know. Facilitate, yeah.
Wow.
Little did I know that, you know, the work would lead me to this.
That day you went in there, can you imagine?
Yeah.
The day you went in to have therapy from them. If someone had told you that day, actually, you're going to be back here running and facilitating a workshop, that was pretty awesome, you know, Ciara, to think, wow, you've turned this around and you've gone on this journey.
Yeah. So no, it's very exciting. We're just going to share a little bit about who we are and what we do, and like all that we've done all summer is kind of like, you know, really proven that what we've come up with together, the three of us, how you've mentored and led us into the heal and grow process, that it's amazing and the world needs to get on board, you know.
I have a question for you see all the young girls who want to get on the plane today, and there's loads of people who want to travel, find their purpose. What advice do you have for them that if they hear this podcast, that, you know, they're going to take on something that will be of value, will be, you know, give them power while they're traveling, or, you know, just what advice, because you guys you've been through that journey, you've been through that process. So what would you like to tell them today?
I would say, I'm trying not to, I don't want to give some generic, like, just go do it. You know, your dreams are on the other side.
I would say do it, but do it with awareness.
Yeah.
Because you can lose years. I lost a lot of years of my time in New York. And again, I wouldn't change it or anything. It was just my journey.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of years, a lot of months that I lost to turn into substance and not dealing with what's going on and getting locked into that cycle. So to bring it a bit more practical and simple steps is buy the journal, you know, bring the journal, use the journal, and keep yourself accountable, self-responsibility, and write in your journal in 6 months' time what you want yourself to read. Because when you move away, you can still run away from yourself even further. You're always going to have to come back, but you can lose a lot of time by not taking yourself seriously when you do get on that plane. Because it's easy to just ignore all the bullshit.
It's really important to do the work, because I say that all the time. Please don't go without, you know, getting the groundwork done. Then you go somewhere, you know, when you get there, you're far more empowered to take on the world.
Yeah.
What about you, Ciara?
I would say go with the intention of getting to know yourself.
Very good.
So get on that plane knowing that it's you and you only. Even though you might be in a relationship, you might be going to friends, you might be going to something, go with the intention of getting to know yourself. And what getting to know yourself means is listening to your body, listening to your head, being able to like differentiate what's, you know, your anxiety essentially, or a worry, to what you really want to do. You don't have to say yes to everything. You can say no to things that don't feel right. If you don't like somewhere, move on. If you don't like a job, you know, it's just very much so listen and like that, have awareness and go with the intention of understanding and truly getting to know who you are.
And I think another, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabrielle, in this one, but like I see a lot of the theme around lack of worthiness with Irish people who move away. Like Irish people in New York, a lot, like the majority of us, me being one of them before I did the work, like felt worthless in this world. You know, kept ourselves small, whatever that's about, I don't know. But I feel like you carry worthlessness with you and you don't feel worthy of growing in this because this isn't your country or whatever it is. I'm just an immigrant from Ireland, like going back to my story.
Yeah, but even, you know, it's really interesting to listen to, you know, I think it's really fascinating if you watch, you know, how we are as Irish and how the Americans are. You know, in Ireland was like, you don't get too big for your boots. You know, you don't be taught confidence. You don't be taught how to believe in yourself. And then when you go to a country where, you know, we're Americans, we're proud, we're, you know, we've got all these opportunities. We've got a really different sort of, I'm not saying they've got it right, but the actual environment has a different conversation going on. The communities they're in have a different relationship with, you know, getting out there, being a winner, you know, all that process is very different. So I think what happens is it would actually be way more obvious when you get to America.
It's the mindset, and it's interesting that you said that right there, because I just made a TikTok the other day about, it came to me when I was walking down Fifth Avenue, about modesty in Ireland. What is the concept of modesty? You're taught as a child to not shine too bright to make the other kids feel uncomfortable. You're modest when you win something if you don't celebrate too loud. But what is that teaching us? But like, why not celebrate yourself?
It teaches us by the time we get to New York or, you know, whatever, you know, environment we're heading off to, that we've got a lot of work to do to be able to fit in and be able to, you know, go out there and get things. And have the confidence and self-belief. So, you know, I think what I want to say is, what I'm really excited about, and I keep saying this, is because the millennials are not having that anymore. They're showing up, you know, they show up to me and say, look, you know, I want to find my life's purpose. I want to figure stuff out. I want to, you know, take control of my life. And there's a real commitment that's never been here in Ireland before, or not been in any other generation. So I'm really hopeful that that stuff is all turning around. And I think that's one of the great things about social media as well. There is a high level of, you know, awareness and education being able to be sort of, you can get it there if you want it. So, you know, even, you know, you guys, what, in your 30, what are you?
32.
29.
30, yeah. I see a massive, you know, the generations have changed. See from 25 downwards, that's a different generation again. For the good. For the good. So I think we have a little bit to go. It'll take us a lot longer than we want. But I think the young generation, I am so hopeful that we are going to change our sort of low self-esteem, self-belief. They're going to work. There's a revolution on with young Irish girls, especially, that they're going to really have a life that they want, not dictated by the society or their ancestors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, I think that's just, you know, addressing sort of some of that, you know, stuff when you go to New York. It must be overwhelming. They call it culture shocks. They call it all this stuff. But it's really, you know, it's really a belief system about yourself as well involved in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Screams at you when you do come here.
So I have my last question I ask all my podcast people. So we call my podcast The Rebellious Therapist. And through the years, you know, that rebellious part of me has really served me And, I am the one who's, broken through all the tradition and, had to fight my way through, stuff that didn't work for me and didn't fit and getting myself out of that mold. And I think my question for you, where in your life has that rebellious part of you been of really great value? So we'll go to, who did we choose first or the last time?
We're back to Ciara now.
Ciara, let's go to you first.
Well, I wouldn't exactly describe myself as rebellious. But actually, so if I'm going to apply being rebellious to me, it actually just happened in the last week. Because, you're taught to be good and not say much and, just forget about it if somebody is rude or mean or something doesn't sit well with you. So the rebellious part of me stuck up for myself during the week. So the lifestyle that we're living now is very wellness-based, manifest, all that kind of stuff. And some people have certain opinions about that. There was someone mocking, basically, they would watch me on Instagram and they would see me in a space and they would say, oh, you're so different on Instagram to you are here. Oh, where's the what would they say? Where's the inspirational thought for today? Where's the quote of today? And it was happening for a little bit. And I was like, okay. I was like, I could feel my visceral reaction happening, body not feeling right. I'm very good with human interaction and taking jokes and all. I don't mind jokes. I don't mind a bit of crack. But something was happening inside me that wasn't sitting well. So this went on for about a week. Then again, it happened Saturday. And I was like, right. And then I thought about it for 2 days. And I was like, do I say something? Do I what? So went back in again, said it to me again. And I turned around and I said, I don't really appreciate you mocking me.
Very good.
And, shock came back to me again and said, I'm really sorry. I've great respect for what you do. And I said, thank you. It just wasn't sitting well with me how you were coming across.
The intention behind it,
The intention behind it. I said, that's my passion and purpose. You can talk about me in this space, whatever way you want. But if you're coming at me in that space, it's very precious and sacred to me. And I said, I wouldn't do that to you when you're in your space.
I will not be disrespectful in that way,
Yeah. So I kind of was like, whoa. I was like, oh, result. I was like, shit, Ciara, you stuck up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because normally I just, forget about it. It's grand, sure, whatever. And I was like, no, this time I'm going to be rebellious and I'm going to use my words and use my knowledge to date and carry myself with huge respect of what I do because it's serious and there's no jokes behind it.
Yeah.
We can have fun with it, of course.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about your mindset, your emotions, your feelings, that shit's serious.
Yeah, and also, it's inappropriate, the approach.
Yeah.
So you're feeling there's something behind that tension that you weren't comfortable with.
Yeah.
So
I listened to myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen to what essentially the world would tell you, which is be quiet so I rebelled against the world and I spoke up for myself.
Yeah. Brilliant. Great example.
Thank you.
Really present. Thank you. What about you, Gemma? What about your rebellious?
It's such a hard question, but the first thing that came to me was my rebel got on that plane.
Yeah.
Whether she went with me or not, and she didn't stop till she met me on the other side.
Yeah.
So my rebel faced all of those road bumps, all of those walls that popped up for me along the way in the work, that were stopping me from meeting my true authentic self. And she didn't stop until both of them knew what I deserved.
Wow. I wanted to say that to Ciara as well. There had to be a rebellious part to get on the plane. That's brilliant. Cool. What a great talk. I hope this is, going to be a real use for people who's, thinking about traveling, which, in Ireland at the moment, there's a lot of, people wanting to get out, wanting to experience life and experience themselves in that life. So I want to say thank you to both of you. And I want to say good luck to you, Gemma, for Monday. I will be on the other end of the phone waiting.
To hear the crack.
When you send your your baby to the first day of school.
Yeah.
And then if I don't hear from I'm going, Ciara, did you hear anything from Gemma? No.
I'll FaceTime you from the office.
Yeah, good luck tonight. No, that's
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Exciting, yeah,
Congratulations.
for sure.
Keep
We
going.
wouldn't have gotten where we've gotten today if it wasn't for you
Oh.
standing for us, for your work.
Mm.
We are the brainchild of Gabrielle McGee when we do the work.
Yeah.
So we are so appreciative
Yeah.
to have your presence and knowledge and stance for us in our life. And you stand for everybody that we represent too, not even just us.
Thank you so much.
So everybody needs to go find themselves a Gabrielle.
Find your purpose. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find my purpose so easy for me. This is my true expression of who I am. So, hey, look. Thank you so much, girls.
Thank
Thank
you.
Love you. And we will be
Love you.
Love you.
in touch very soon.
Yes.
Thank
See
you.
you soon. Thanks so much.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Rebellious Therapist podcast. For more information, you can follow me, the Rebellious Therapist, on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can find further information on my website, therebellioustherapist.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.